can't see who it is. The print is very small, and I'm trying to get my screen here to load. Thank y'all for joining me. Must we take so long? All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about realistic expectations if you are a medical coding job seeker, because I've seen one too many. And when I see one too many posts on like LinkedIn and stuff, we need to have a talk about that, because y'all can't be doing that. Y'all, no matter how frustrated you are in the job seeking process, I know it's frustrating. I've been there, okay? And I struggled just like everybody else, you know, and it was not a fun time. However, I will say that back then, when I was looking for a job, there was social media, but it wasn't as like robust as it is now, where like if you go anywhere, I mean, people are just talking about their journeys and things like that, and everybody thinks that it's so important to be so transparent about every little thing. Well, there are some things that you need to hold close to the vest, and your frustration with the job hunting process is one of them. Now, I saw a couple posts, and one of them, well, actually two of them, they actually had experience and they still struggled to find a job in coding. And they're like, you know, what is the deal? Why can't I find a job in coding? Well, the thing about medical coding is this: it requires a lot of knowledge. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of medical coding programs that will pump people out, and they will get these people and they will promise them the world. They'll give them all kinds of big promises. You're going to make all this money, you can travel, you can stay at home and raise your kids. This is such a load of garbage, okay? But they're running around saying this stuff. Well, then you get people that say, oh, well, you know what? We're going to teach you how to pass this test so you can be on your way, and they'll train you on the job. No, actually, they won't. And so when somebody finishes the program, well, the school's already done their job, which is to get you trained. Now it is your job to find a job. So when you can't find a job because, number one, you don't have the skills, they didn't teach you right. Number two, your resume is not very good, because a lot of people complain, I don't like to write resumes. It's not about what you like. We need to get rid of that thinking too, because that's stinking thinking right there. I don't like this. Too bad. There are some things in the beginning that you're not going to like, okay? These things are not difficult, especially when there's so many resources out there. Again, it's not like it was back in the day where, you know, you actually had to go to the library and check out a book about resumes. Now, there are resume tip videos on my channel, everywhere on my channel. I feel like I'm talking about it every single time I'm doing an episode. And there's all of these tips out there where I talk about specifically for coders, what you need to have on your resume. And yet, my people, I will still see the same people who are loudly proclaiming, I can't find a job. I'm about to get evicted from my house and my kids, and we're not going to have no place to live. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yes, while you may be a parent and you're afraid and you're going to get evicted, you don't need to be telling everybody about your business. Because first of all, especially for my single mothers, you don't know who's listening. And you don't know who might be trying to take advantage of you because you are a single mother. We need to keep that close to the vest. That's one of those things that you don't go out there telling everybody about your business. Oh, me and my kid are going to be evicted, or me and my kids are going to be evicted. You don't need to be sharing that. And I'm being very serious about that. Yes, you may be on the verge of eviction, but you don't need to be announcing that, especially on LinkedIn, because these are going to be your future coworkers. And, you know, if you start saying all of this stuff, what is that going to say to your future employer? This is somebody who's drama. And yes, while everybody goes through their struggles, because I went through my struggles too, you don't need to be out here announcing it to the people. You need to start focusing on what your problem is. If you're about to get evicted, first of all, you knew that this eviction was coming. So what are you doing to stop this eviction? You got to get a job. That's the most important thing. And right now, you don't need to be picky about what job it is. It needs to be any job that will pay you. If it is cleaning houses, if it is working a fast food joint, if it is any of those things, you need to be out there doing that, cutting grass, whatever you got to do. You need to do that instead of being out here sharing everybody, oh, this is my story and I'm about to get evicted. What are you doing? Please do something to help yourself. And when you start doing that, you will start to see that there will be things that will start to open up for you. You will start to see things change. And okay, now everything's going to be all right. Because for some of you, it's a money problem. For others, it is a discipline problem with money. Money is very hard. Okay, it is very hard. And I will tell you that it took me years to understand credit cards. It took me years to understand budgeting, because you think about it and you think, okay, I paid my bills and I did this and I did that. But then like I started watching like Dave Ramsey and all these other people that talk about money and savings and how to grow your own personal finance situation. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Oh, okay, I get it now. So, and then I understand like being disciplined, and you got to be disciplined. I know that's not, what are you talking about, Blue? This is about medical coding. Yes, it is. But I want to say that message directly to my parents out there that are saying that they're being threatened with eviction. Find a job, any job. It doesn't matter. Right now, we just need to basically stop the bleeding, right? We got to stop that. We got to find money from somewhere. And for a lot of people, oh no, I went to school for this. Yes, you did go to school for that. But you know, I went to school for medical coding as well. And you know what I had to do for the 2 months that I could not find a job because I was being told the same thing? I had to work at a bar serving drunk people and dealing with all kinds of comments of crazy ways that people try to talk to you when you do that kind of work. I cleaned houses, which also was treated badly because people think they can look down on you because you're cleaning their home. Which, first of all, okay, let's look at that situation, okay? Some people, they need it, and other people, this is a service that makes life a little bit more convenient for them, but they also try to treat you badly. No, I don't think so. But I did it. Why? Because I still had a vehicle to pay. I still had an ex-husband right here. You can't. Oh, really? Really? So I'm trying to keep my head above water with the things that I have so that my divorce doesn't really do me in, right? I have to do all of these things and go to school and try to figure out all of this stuff. So I'm cleaning people's houses. I'm working at a halfway house for adults who had they had Down syndrome, so they couldn't live by themselves, but they could take care of themselves, but they still needed somebody to watch them. I worked at the stadium. Like when they had the big games and stuff like that, serving beer, serving beers and things like that. So I'm doing all of these things, literally working 7 days a week. So trust me, I don't want to hear anybody else saying, oh, you don't understand. I do understand. I've been there. I got the t-shirt. I created the t-shirt. So I know what it is to feel scared. I know what it is to have bill collectors calling you, hey, when are we going to get our payment? I was behind on my vehicle payment and they were calling me and I had to sit here and talk to them. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, I'm trying. Yeah, I really am. I'm like having to scramble to get money together to pay my bills. But I did it. And then when my mom, she was like, well, try to go back to the school and see if they know somebody. So that's exactly what I did. I went back to the school. I listened to my mom. And they said, well, we know somebody who has a temp agency. So I went to the temp agency. And I was like, well, I don't want a temp job. I want a real job, not knowing any better. So y'all are having the benefit of my knowledge where I said, oh no, I don't want that. I want a real job. Of course you want a real job. But sometimes it takes working at a temp agency. Do you know you can get registered for a temp agency? And especially if you Google in your area, temporary agencies for medical professionals, you got to say that specifically like that. And please listen to me when I say this. Temporary agencies for medical professionals. That's exactly how you put it in Google. And then it'll bring up all the ones that are specific to the medical field. Then you will see the ones that say we need medical billers, we need medical coders, we need revenue cycle technicians, and all this other good stuff. Because medical coders are not always called medical coders, they have funky names for them. But at least if you can get registered with that temp agency, they may not have something right then and there, but you never know. Because a lot of times these temp agencies, what they do is they compete for contracts for these big hospitals and for government hospitals. They compete for these contracts and they need coders. So if you're competent, which is another thing I'll talk about here in a second, if you're competent enough, then they will get you work. Because that's exactly how I was able to do it. The first job that I got was a temp assignment for 90 days. And they said, okay, well, we have this temporary job that opened up because it's a contract, and they need 3 people, and then at the end of this 3 months, they're going to pick one of you, and then the other 2 will just move on to other assignments. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, okay, cool. So I did that. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to keep this other lady. That's fine, because the manager there wasn't the greatest manager in the world. I had technical skill because they did have to grade me, and I did very well. But it's just that lady was just mean, which is fine, because not getting that job freed me up to get an even better job. So the temp agency was able to find me another job. I had to move. Don't tell me you can't move. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I have to be very firm. Okay, don't tell me you're being mean. No, I have to be very firm, because otherwise I get 20 emails afterwards telling me how they can't move. I'm not telling you to move. I'm telling you what my journey is. My mom helped me, got me set up an apartment, and I had to move away from my hometown. No social support. None where I was going. I knew nobody in that town. And I had to just start. And I was there, and I would fly back and forth home to my mom. But I was there, and I built my skills in professional fee coding, because that's the only assignment that they had, that they really needed somebody. And people were quitting left and right. Well, I had just moved. I have no choice but to be here and make this a successful venture and just try. And that's all I did. And so I was successful, because 8 months later, when I applied here for my forever home and I got the job, 8 months later, less than 1 year's time, I got here to my forever home, and I'm still here. And not only that, with what I learned for professional fee coding, that was what got me in the door here. So I took a position that no one wanted, but not really knowing anything about it, and not knowing that, hey, this is going to be my ticket in. And that's exactly what it was. So I'm showing up, I'm doing all these things. Am I wasting my time out here willy-nilly on the internet saying, oh, I can't do this, and I'm about to be evicted, and I don't have no food, and I can't pay my car payment? Am I doing that? No, because I have other things that are priority, not out here telling everybody about my situation. Because while there may be somebody that cares, and maybe somebody that will give you some money, that's not always the case. That's not always the case. And so that's why it's important to say, okay, you know what? I need to find a job, any job right now, so that I can continue to look. Because that's exactly what I did when I worked those 4 places, right? I was still looking for a job in coding. And then, of course, that's when I went back and I went to the temp agency, and that's how I got my first job. And then I was able to stop all that. So that's what you need to be doing. If you're really struggling right now, you can't find your first job, you need to find a job doing anything. And then continue to look for your job. Get registered with the temp agency. Don't send me emails afterwards saying that you don't want a temp job, because I will either ignore you, block you, or tell you to watch my channel. One of the three. I just want people to be set up for success. The other thing that I will say is this. When you are looking for a job, okay, there was a movie called Up in the Air. It's an older movie, early 2000s. George Clooney and I forget the other girl's name. She was in, what is the name of that movie? I can't think of the name of the movie. George Clooney's in the movie. Well, George Clooney. He's the most important anyway. So he is hired to fire people. That's his job. And if you've never seen the movie, that's what it's about. He's the one who goes around to these companies, and he's the one who fires people because their bosses can't do it. And he's telling them, hey, this is a great opportunity for you to take the skills that you've gotten here, and you're going to be able to move on to something better. Or he makes them think about, like, hey, what is it that you've always wanted to do, but that this corporate job kept you from doing? And so people realize, hey, I want to go back, and I want to be a cook, and I want to do, this, and I want to do that. And, he gets them, it's a positive situation. He's able to get them to move on. And so there's some people that take it really bad because they've spent so many years in that organization and now it's all over. They got fired and they're not able to retire and all this good stuff. And so some people didn't take it so well in the movie. But one thing that he said that stuck with me that makes a lot of sense. For every $10,000 you expect to earn, which we do not talk about money and specifics on my channel, so you can just imagine, okay? But for every $10,000 you expect to earn in salary, expect to be looking for 1 month for every $10,000. So that's going to already put you at that expectation. That's a realistic expectation right there. Is if you are thinking that this place is going to pay you X amount of dollars, whatever it is. If it begins with a 3, if it begins with 4, whatever, that's how many months you are going to be looking for a job. For every $10,000 you expect to earn, expect to be looking for 1 month. So for some people, you're going to be looking for quite a while. Okay? And as I've said, there are alternative jobs to getting into medical coding. There's those coding adjacent jobs, medical billing, claims reviewer for the insurance side, which doesn't even require you to be certified in medical coding, which is the disgusting part, but it's true. So you do that. You do one of those jobs. Prior authorizations. Again, no coding involved, but it will get you exposure to the medical records. It will get you exposure to the codes. It will get you exposure to the insurance side. So for some of you, I know that, talking on the phone is very anxiety thing. That's if you're in one of those positions. Coding, we normally don't do that, okay? But these are coding adjacent, designed to help you get experience so that you can have something on your resume, okay? Something that will help you gain some traction in the industry, that you're not coming in blind. You're not coming in with no exposure. You've had some exposure. My billers, my claims reviewers, and that kind of thing. And claims reviewers, they get pretty good benefits working for these big insurance companies. Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield are the only two that I would recommend working for. The other big one, no. And y'all know which one it is because they have all that drama in the news. Absolutely not. And then I had somebody send me a message, oh, Blue, I know that you said that Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield hire. Can you give me the links? No! There's things that you have to learn to do, guys. I am just here to guide you there. You can do the rest. You don't need somebody to handhold you the whole way when I'm giving you this information, because that's what this field is. Like, I'm giving you like the direction where you got to go. Okay. I know if I'm saying, hey, I want to work for Aetna, I'm going to go to the Aetna website and I'm going to look at their available jobs so that I can get in over there. Same thing for Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's the same thing. Same thing, same idea. It is as simple as going to their website and looking for the little careers tab at the bottom. It's usually at the bottom, right? Careers. Do I recommend paying attention to these people that are supposedly on LinkedIn doing all these hirings, or they're sending you messages in your inbox, that should make you suspicious right away. Especially if you're brand new, you got the green banner out, and you say that you're looking for work and that kind of thing, and all of a sudden you get your inbox filled with all these people. Oh yeah, we're hiring, blah blah blah, and they want all of your information. Why do they want your information? Because why would they email you and, oh my gosh, we have a perfect job for you? Why would they do that? You haven't even been in the industry. You don't know. Why would this person suddenly be interested in you? This is why you should never respond to those. And people respond to them out of desperation, right? I get it. But you should be applying at your local hospitals, at your local dialysis centers. They need coders. Labs, they need coders. They need coders as well. Those are places that have coders. Urgent care centers need coders. Stay out of independent doctor's offices. Stay out of there. Why? Because it's always the spouse that is doing, oh, the office manager, they think they know everything. They're not even certified in coding. We've always built it this way. Really. That's the most interesting ones to me. We've always built it this way. Guess what happens when you've always done something this way in this industry? Things update. So if you're out there doing the same thing that you did 5 years ago, there's a good chance there's something wrong and that you could potentially be losing out on a lot of money. But you can't say nothing to them because they know everything, right? That's why I'm telling you, don't waste your time with private doctor's offices. Let them sort that out. Let them sort that out. And often, the other thing is, with those private doctor's offices, they will use you for more than one position. So you're a coder, but they're going to expect you to check in patients when they need somebody, when they're short. So you got to go run back and forth up there. Are you trained to check in patients? Absolutely not. That's not what you're there for. You're there for the coding. That's why I'm telling you, go work at a hospital. And for those of you who already want to get fresh and say, oh no, I don't want to work in a hospital, I want to do outpatient. What do you think happens in a hospital? Okay, they have two settings. I've always worked in a hospital. I've always done outpatient coding. So they have outpatient clinics that do outpatient coding in a hospital. Just because you work in a hospital does not mean that you are only working as an inpatient coder. Yes, they have inpatient coding positions, but not everybody there is an inpatient coder. And then, of course, there's always working in the emergency department, which you will see like a bunch of different things. But you got to be careful with those ERs, because sometimes with the ERs, they have the coders only coding for the diagnosis part because they do everything else. But that's not always right to do, because a lot of times those CPT codes are wrong. And not only that, when they're doing all of that stuff, right, they're coding all of that things, then they want you to code 200 and 300 encounters per day. Somebody told me that they wanted them to code 320. I said, that's not coding, that's data entry. That's not the place that you want to be. Something that is reasonable is going to be between 80 and 150. 150 is on the high side. And I'm not saying that just because your productivity is 90, that you can't exceed that 90, right? If that's the average or whatever. If you do more than that, that's great, because there may be some days where you may not be able to produce that much. And so it'll kind of even itself out. But the ones that are demanding for you to be, 225 or 320 per day, that's a data entry job. That's not a coding job. And that's not what you want, because your name is on those codes that are being selected. So guess who's culpable for those code selections? You. All right. Hi, Antoinette. Hi, April. Hi, Letty. Doing great. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Lisa. Thank you, Vanessa. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Blue. You are so transparent. I love it. Good. Yes, you're welcome. Hi, Micah. Hi, Liz. I just started billing specialist this week. It is my first job in the revenue cycle as a temporary position, and it's experience. So there you go. I took all of your advice when I was applying for jobs, tailored resumes, interview tips, and applying, even if they ask for experience. It took 2 months of getting my CCSP to get in somewhere. There you go. All right. Thanks, Letty. Um, that is really awesome. So, yes, high of star stuff. But yes, that's what you want to do when you are having these realistic expectations. Do not expect to find a job right away. Do expect to continue to work at whatever job that you're working in, or if you want to switch to another job, maybe something that's not in health information at all, maybe something not, though I will say this very firmly, not patient access. Now, this is a red button topic for me. Patient access. Why? If you go into patient access, right? Patient access is a person who is checking in the patient once they get to the hospital. You're checking them in, getting their insurance card and all that good stuff. You're sending them to wherever you got to go, right? Some places it's a little different, but that's the general gist. You're checking in patients and you're getting them registered and that kind of thing. What happens when you are really good with this? That's where you're going to stay, because it's a patient-facing job. Do you think that you're doing really good here? Do you think because you say, hey, I'm using this to get in as coding, to get into the coding side, do you think they're going to let you go? Absolutely not. I'm the one who gets messages from people who have been in these positions for 3 or 4 years because the organization doesn't want to move them. And they're begging to please have a chance to do the coding side. Do you think they get that chance? No. And when I see people like veterans saying, oh, get into patient access or, front desk or registration. Why? Because the person that is doing those positions is not going to be studying at home. It is going to be the very rare person that is going to continue to study at home while they're waiting for their magical coding position to open up. Okay? Don't do it to yourself. It is a waste of time. And I don't care who says what. I am telling you, because I'm the one who gets those messages, not other people. I'm the one who does. And all it's going to do is burn you out. That's literally all it's going to do is burn you out, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is trying to get yourself in somewhere so that you can gain experience or get yourself in a position that is something completely away from healthcare and health information, so that you can be so motivated to continue to apply for coding positions that you eventually do get into a coding position. But it will not happen overnight. So that's something that you all have to understand, is that this is not an instant gratification thing. I know we live in the ticky-tock world now. Everything is right away, but that is not what this is. And if that's what you were led to believe, I am here to tell you that you should have done more research. And that's the other thing that I want to say today too, right? Is this fella wrote a message and he's like, oh, thank you, Blue, for this wonderful a public service announcement. I want to do data. He wants to do data analytics. Okay, cool. Well, I'm not really interested in learning about all the ICD-10 and all the coding stuff, the gross coding stuff. I know he probably meant gross as in like the overall. I think it was a poor choice of words, but whatever. I'm going to choose to believe that, right? And not that it was gross that he is disgusted by the coding, okay? First of all, he said he didn't know, and he was misled about that you needed the RHIA or the RHIT. You do. You do need those in order to get into the data analytics, because that's what they train on in those college programs. They train about data analytics in the associate's degree and in the bachelor's program. They train on data analytics. So that's why you do need those. But to turn around and say, well, I was misled and I was told this and that. So you didn't look at the syllabus when you were signing up for the college course? You didn't look at that? You just took this person's word for whatever they said. You can do your own research, but you know that you want to do data analytics, right? And here's the other thing. You want to do data analytics, but you say you don't want to know anything about the coding. So how are you supposed to know what codes look like. And when you're pulling particular CPT codes, what are you going to say? I don't know what that means. I just know I need to pull this number. So you only need to pull a certain number, right? So you're not going to know the difference between the 20,000 series and the 80,000 series. You're not going to know that one is musculoskeletal procedure and one is a pathology code. You're not going to know that, right? Because that's not your job to know that. You're doing the data analytics side. But not knowing the language itself? Are you freaking kidding me? It is like when I see anybody who works in the electronic health record, because you have those people too. Well, I'm an electronic health record trainer. Okay. And then you have people, well, I don't know anything about the coding. So how can you really know fully and be fully competent in what you're doing when you don't even understand the language that's in the freaking record? Can somebody please explain that one to me? How does that make sense? I'm not saying that they need to be proficient in coding. What I am saying is that you do need to recognize, hey, maybe there's a code here that is incomplete. I know because I work in one of the worst electronic health records ever known to man, right? And in this record, there are incomplete codes. I know because I see them. Because when my doctors, when they select them and they're looking at this and they say, oh yes, this is an option here, because the freaking moron, whoever did the coding, the programming for that electronic health record, recognized, hey, there's this partial code here. And instead of saying, this is a partial code, this is not a complete code, they went ahead and left it. So guess what happens? Now errors happen. Because the doctor, does the doctor know that this is a 7th character? This code is supposed to be 7 characters? No, they don't. The person who's designing the electronic health record should know that. And they should not be allowed to put in things in the electronic health record that are incomplete like that. Am I the only one who thinks that this makes sense? That you should know at least the basics? So that's the other thing. Don't tell me that you don't want to know about coding, but yet you want to do data analytics, because that's just stupid. And not only that, you would be one of the most incompetent people to do that job, which that job requires so much competence. You want somebody who knows about coding in order to do that job. So at least they know when they're pulling these codes, hey, wait a second, this does not look right. They're going to know that right away, because you can't always rely on other leaders to know, because a lot of times, like the people who have the RHIA and the RHIT, they don't see coding day in and day out. The coders do. And they know some of it, but they're not always going to catch that stuff right away. The person who's working with the data should know that stuff. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion anyway. But I get worked up about this because think about this. That is your health information. That is my health information. That is my medical bill. That is your medical bill. If you have somebody in there that's incompetent and doesn't know, now they're screwing it up. And guess what? You have to pay, because they're going to take the word of, okay, this is what the code they selected. This is what you got to do. And can you imagine how many people have overpaid or underpaid because there's somebody that's incompetent and doesn't know about the coding? And unless they know about the coding, they'll always have to pay whatever they say. So it is important, my people, to educate yourselves. Education is so, so, so critical. So critical. It is very serious. And people just do not give it the urgency that it needs, I think, sometimes. Anyway. Hi, Napier. Yep. So, but yes, that's what I want to say. Expect to be looking for every $10,000 that you expect to earn in salary. Expect to be looking for 1 month. Your resume needs to be on one page. It does not need to go back more than 10 or 15 years. Do not complain that you have to update and change the name that you're trying to apply for every single time on your resume. Because the other lady that was complaining that she's about to be thrown out, she was like, well, I've updated my resume 3 or 4 times. I've put out thousands of resumes. Okay, so you put out 1,000 resumes. Let's just go with 1,000 resumes. You never updated your resume. You're just sending out a generic resume to people. And you expect people to open doors for you? A lot of times these companies have multiple positions open. And if the ATS reader does not recognize, I want a health information position. If it doesn't recognize that because the actual job title is revenue cycle technician, and you have nothing of that anywhere on your resume, guess whose resume gets thrown out? And for my people that are complaining, well, no one says anything and they ghost you. Again, you need to give them something to look at, because they're getting all of these resumes. And if you're not putting on there what it needs to see, what is on the job listing itself, the core skills that you have, right? The important core skills, not communication on your skills list. That's for your cover letter. Not communication, not organized, not a team player. I don't ever want to see that on somebody's skills list. That is a waste of time. You've got 3 spots right there that you just wasted, because these people have minutes, not even minutes, basically a minute to look at your resume. That's generous. 30 seconds is more like it. So if you are having all this fluffy stuff on here and all this, oh, I really want to expand my skill set and I really want to do this, and no, get right to the point. What job are you applying for? And I don't want to see your name and then medical coder. I want to see your name, comma, with your credentials next to your name. Because if I have to do an Easter egg hunt, yours is going to go right to the side. I don't need to message you back, because you didn't meet me in the middle, which is at least tell me what you are. At least tell me what your credential is. Credentials are important. Credentials say that you have invested, right? That you've invested whatever it is, whichever certification you have. If they're looking for one of the 4, CCS, CCA, CCSP, all with the American Health Information Management Association, or the CPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders. They're looking for any one of these 4. If you do not have one of these 4, you will have a harder time, because there are schools that push out these certificates that no one looks for. Oh, it's for free. We're going to include this in your package for your schooling, and you're already going to have a credential on your name. Get out of here. No one's looking for that credential. It's not even a credential, it's a certificate. They're not looking for it. So if it's not one of these 4, they're not looking for it. Everybody is looking for one of these 4 because they already are familiar with what is on that exam. And I will say this, for that other certificate, it doesn't even require medical coding manuals to take that test. It's a memorization test, yet it has certified encoder in the name. Really? You don't even require books to look stuff up. You just going to say it's a medical coding certificate, but there's no books required. And a lot of these employers know that. I'm just saying. I don't want people to get discouraged. Do not get discouraged. Yes, I'm going to be very direct with you. Do not get discouraged. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And you need to get on the ball. Stop with everybody wants experience. They're going to want experience. If you're paying this person to come in and work for you, don't you expect them to already know what they're doing? Because a lot of times what happens when new people get out into the real world, deer in the headlights. Just deer in the headlights. Have no clue. But it is not impossible. And you know how I know it's not impossible? Because this is not a sale. I am just saying. I write resumes. People have come to me and said, Blue, I can't find a job. I know it's my resume. We work on their resume. Resumes take 7 days to come back. Okay? From the time we have our meeting, because we will have a meeting face to face. on Zoom. And I will ask you what it is that you're looking for and more about your skill set and more about you and what's going on, because each one of these resumes is custom. It goes with all, well, Blue, I haven't worked. That doesn't matter. What did you do instead? You were doing something. Well, I was raising my kids. You think that's not work? You think that's not work? These kids are a lot of work. You know, they take so much to raise. And you think that that's not work? The lady had not worked in years. She said, I've been raising my kids, Blue. I'm really scared. What have you been doing instead? Raising my kids. Were you in the PTA? Did you do Girl Scouts? What did you do? Oh, yeah, I did Girl Scouts and I did PTA. Boom, done. PTA, really, Blue? Let me handle this. So I wrote it out. Sent it back to her. And I said, send it out the way that it is. Okay, Blue, I'm going to trust you. Sure enough, 3 weeks later, I got a job. Because they said that, about the PTA, what I had said about PTA. You are building skills somewhere along the way. And whether it is the PTA, whether it is the church, a lot of people get like, really, Blue, the church? Yes, the church. That is still skill. Because as I've said before, when you say you're a prayer warrior at the church, right? Well, just saying prayers for, the parishioners in the church. Okay, so when Sister Sharon comes to you and says, hey, I got an issue, can y'all pray for me? And then you pray for her. And then, are you out there running around saying, oh, Sister Sharon, this or Sister? No, you are keeping that confidential. What do you think coders need to do? Keep stuff confidential. And so you have demonstrated that. You have exercised that. So that's going to be what is going to be put onto your resume too. And I'm telling y'all that it works. I had another gentleman. It was a gentleman. And for my fellas out there who get so scared, oh, it's too woman dominated. We need more men in the field because just like nurses, male nurses bring a lot to the nursing industry. The same thing with male medical coders. They bring a different perspective. They look at things differently. They communicate differently. And so we need more of them. And so because of that, right? Hey, all of the things that he did, no prior experience in coding. We did the resume together. Boom, he got a job. No experience. It's all about the resume. All about the resume. If you don't have a good resume, you got nothing. That resume is the first thing the employer will see. If it is not right, if it is disorganized, if it is all one big run-on sentence, well, guess what? You think an employer is going to want to read that? No. They got a stack of resumes to look through. You have skill. Everything that you learned in the school should be on your skills list. Not every single thing, but in general, it needs to be there. Minus communication, team player, organized. Because if I see any one of those three, immediate rejection. Nope, you're wasting my time. Because you're trying to pad your skills list, and you don't need to. Just tell me what I need to know. Tell me what you learned in the school. ICD-10 CM. Because if I see ICD-10, nope. This industry is about detail. If you put ICD-10 nothing, nope, reject. ICD-10 CM / PCS, nope, nothing. Is that a thing? No. There is no book called ICD-10 CM / PCS. No book. There's ICD-10 CM. There's ICD-10 PCS. These are two different code sets, two completely different things that have two completely different sets of guidelines. You need to treat them as individuals, not as one thing / another thing. And this one lady, oh, no, that's just inefficient. Please get off my channel. Please get off my channel. You have no idea what you're talking about. None at all. Oh, thank you. Listen to Blue. Her tips got me a scribing job while I was in school and my current coding job. She did it for me and she can do it for you. There you go. So that's the thing, guys. That's why I say go back and watch the videos. Do y'all see me out here harping? Selling my resumes every single time? No, I tell y'all about my resume service because people will ask me, hey, do you write resumes? Yes, absolutely. But I'm not sitting out here saying, oh, this, and no. I always tell y'all too, hey, there's things out there like software that will help you with your resume. There's going through my videos where I give the resume tips. And if you don't want to go through all my videos, you can actually Google me. You can Google Medical Coding with Bleu resume tips. And all the videos that I have done will pop up in Google. And all you have to do is click the button and go. You can do it yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, if you're going to sit there and ask me for my time, then you're going to have to pay me. That's just the way that it is. I cannot do these things for nothing. I would be overrun with requests for that. And I can't do it. And especially when I put it out on the channel so many times. I'm just saying. How can we apply for your resume services? You can email me. All of that information is in the description box, I think. Is it? My email is there, so you can email me. And so that way you can get in touch with me if you want to do that. But like I said, I give y'all plenty of free resources for y'all to do it on your own. And like where to get started and how to get started, I get those emails too. The lady that I told her, she's like, oh, I'm a nurse, Blue. Good for you. I'm a nurse. And I really want to do this, but I'm really concerned about all these things. And what advice do you have for me? You can watch my channel. Well, I was just looking for some direction. Ma'am, where to get started in medical coding, how to start studying, what books do I recommend, tips on setting up a study schedule, independent study syllabus where I talk about it. I just don't have it written out in the description box because too many people were sending me nasty messages and being ungrateful. I said, oh, okay. Y'all want to be ungrateful? I'll take it out. I'll sell it next time. So I'm still working on it. Still working on it. But I'll just sell it next time because people want to be rude. Fine with me. But I still leave the video up that I'm still talking about it. So it's still there for y'all to find and for y'all to listen and write stuff down because it's all there. I'm just saying. Yes. Thank you, Vanessa. But yeah, so that's what I want to say today is please don't air your frustrations on LinkedIn. These are your future coworkers. Don't be telling, and if you're a single mom, don't be telling people, hey, I'm about to get evicted and my kid and I are going to be out in the street. Because first of all, some people will look at that as a manipulation, even though it may be true. Some people will look at it as manipulation and won't help you. And it is almost the rare instance where somebody will help you. But this is not the community where you need to start asking for things like that right out of the gate. That's where you can go to your local church, or you can go to some other charity organization in your area and ask for help. Not where your future coworkers are concerned, okay? Because that's no, you should not be doing that. No matter what, you need to handle this stuff on your own. And as I've said, that when you are in this situation, you know you haven't been paying your rent, you know you need help as far as money wise, you've got to get out there and do any kind of job that you can. Or if you need to sell your things, you need to go to the flea market and sell stuff, you got to do that. You got to be able to make this money up on your own, because at the end of the day, you're the one that you fall back on. And my single mothers, y'all got to be careful, and y'all have to be a little bit more guarded, because you never know who's listening, because there are some people who will look out for mothers, and as far as not look out for them to like take care of them, but look out for them to like prey on them. There are people who will look for single mothers to prey on them. Now, I don't want to scare people. I certainly don't. Okay. And I think love is wonderful. I love love. Love is awesome. However, you got to be smart. There's a lot of people who will take advantage. And I know I'm all over the place, But it just worries me when I see single mothers say, I'm about to get evicted, me and my kid, and blah, 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 and they're 5 years old, they're 6 years old. Why would you be telling people that? Why would you say that? Think about that. There's people out there willing to take advantage of single mothers, and especially in desperate situations. Think about that, okay? You've got to think about that for your kids. Think about it for your kids' sake. As a coder, I have to say Blue lays it out. Plain and simple. But she's telling the truth. This field takes resourcefulness and attention to detail and professionalism. Yes. Even though I get regularly accused of, you're so unprofessional, Blue. No, I'm just treating this with the urgency that it deserves, because there's so many people that are just, everything is about sugar, sugary sweet. And it's about, oh, being so gentle. No. This is about, hey, you guys got to wake up. And I hope that I'm reaching some single mother out there who is out there talking about how she's about to be evicted with her young children, and maybe she'll think twice before saying anything like that on the internet. I'm just saying, you need to make money. You need to look for ways to make money. There are so many ways to make money now, okay? Even if you have to go to day labor jobs, they still have day labor around, and where you can pick up a job, here and there. They have those. Do what you have to do. I worked in a bar. And if anything happened to my job today, guess where I would be back at? The bar. Not drinking, working. Handing out beer like I did before. And that is a very hard job. What else would I be doing? Go back to cleaning houses. Because I am not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid. And you can survive this time by getting out there and being proactive. You don't need to depend on anybody to be there for you as far as like giving you money and that kind of thing. That's too easy. That is way too easy. And when I see people who make like GoFundMe things, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you'll see them with their hair and their nails all done and everything. Oh, no. That is a discipline problem. You're not disciplined enough with your money. And you'll see people like that. And they don't understand why they don't have money for everything. They make money, but they don't understand. And then they're sitting there dripping in all of their stuff. This is a discipline issue. But like I said, money is another channel, another time. But I just wanted to say that. I just want to come on here and say that. I will have to say that I'm probably not going to have any more shows this week. It is a very busy week for me right now. And I am actually running behind on a lot of other things that I have to do. So I just wanted to come on here and to let you all know that, hey, this is like you guys need to think about these things. Don't get so discouraged. Quit telling people about your feelings of discouragement. No one cares. Not that no one cares, but this is not the situation where you need to be bringing it up. You bring that up to your priest, your rabbi, your mother, your father, your cousin, your sister, your brother, anybody else, your friend. You bring it up to them. You do not bring it up to your other coworkers, ever. And even if you're not in a job yet, you do not post it on LinkedIn, ever. Because when I see somebody complaining about that, I block them. It's not going to be that one time. It's not an isolated incident. It's going to be ongoing, and I don't want to hear it. I really don't. Especially when you have connected with me, so you know I have my channel. Why are you complaining? Why can't you go and look for resources to help you? And then want to talk back to people who are trying to help you? No. Mm-mm. Thank you, Vanessa. Yes, April. I always make time for y'all because I try to get get on there, because you guys don't know what this YouTube does for me. You know what I mean? Like, it does help me to reach my own personal goals. And I really appreciate that. All of the engagement, all of the likes, all of the watch time, all of the shares when you share my videos and that kind of thing. I really do appreciate it, because it does help me. It does help me to reach a broader audience. Every single one of these 48,000 plus subscribers that I have on this channel are mine. It is mine, not paid 1 red cent to get any of you. And I say this because I get these dumb people that say, oh, you can do this and you can buy this. Get out of here. Why do I need to do that? Why would I need to be around people that this is not for them? Every single one of these people that has subscribed to me because they want the truth about medical coding. Some of them unsubscribe because I've said something that hurts their feelings. But again, I have said that I will always give you all the straight and direct truth, whether you like it or not. It may not be what you want to hear, but that's okay. If everybody liked me, I would be doing something wrong. So, all right, Vanessa, you're welcome. All right, so I am going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But thank you guys so much for listening, for being here, and I will try to be back on track next week. But yes, so please continue to watch the videos, and if you get stuck on something, trust me, there's a video about it. There is a video about it. You get through to a lot of us. Good. To those who listen, you are a godsend. Oh, thank you, long time watcher here. I appreciate that. And sometimes I have to be reminded of that too, because sometimes when I get some of these messages, I'm like, am I speaking English? You know, like, am I speaking English? And then the person gets offended. How are you offended? When I was clear in the video, I said this, I said that. It's outlined here, it's outlined there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up, but thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.